here's a scan from the 3dscanstore.com. Now, I want you to understand that models can either have UV maps for color or they can store color in their vertices. Now, there are advantages to each method. Now, the method you're most commonly used to is the UV mapping. And this is used in video games, it's used in films. It allows you to have a high-res image wrapped onto a low-res object. And this allows for things like 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second in a video game. Now, depending on what the UVs are on an object is how the image is going to be wrapped. You can see that his hands are over here, his head and face are over here. Now, this UV mapping does not match the UV mapping that we use in CC3. So one of the things that we have to overcome is getting details like this transferred to the UV maps to match CC3. Now, if we look at this UV map, you can see that he's flattened out. It's kind of like wrapping a gift. The image is wrapped around the object and the object is flattened so you can see how it's wrapped. You can see that the mesh is very dense as well, but if we scroll over here, you can see the image matches the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ear. So UV mapping is useful, but you always have to make sure that what you're using matches the UVs that you need for your object. And this is where vertex colors come into play. So an object can store color in each vertex, and as long as there's enough vertices, you're able to store a high quality image. So we can see that, this guy's got his own polygroups, he's got his own UVs, and he's about 12 million polygons. So there's plenty of vertex information to store the color information. Now here's the default material, but I'm going to put a white material on it so we can see things easier. And you can see that he does have a UV map because the delete UV button is active, which means there is a UV map. And there's this texture map, and if I turn it on, you'll see that everything wraps perfectly according to the UVs that have been assigned to him. Now, in order to transfer this, what I want to do is actually make these vertex colors. So if I open up PolyPaint, you can see that Colorize is not on right now. But we're going to do a PolyPaint from texture. Now you're going to see this warning message that says mRGB is not on, and it's right at the top of your interface. You just click it once and it'll highlight orange. Now do a PolyPaint from texture, and you'll see the Colorize button is now active. Now if we go in, we can actually disable or turn off entirely the texture map because it's no longer needed. This information is actually stored in every single vertex of every polygon this object has. And now we can use the ZBrush projection tool to project this onto other models with different UV groups.